Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids, and in today's video, I'm going to be breaking down my top 10 list for the best support champions. I'm going to include like support, and also debuffers in the same thing. But the top 10 for Chimera. We're coming up to the end of the first week. These are the best 10. I've got a few honorable mentions. I've tried to really limit myself. I'm not just going to list off every single champ in the game that can be good for this. But let me know if I've missed any obvious ones. By the way, a little preview here. Here's the top key in our clan. And actually, in terms of this, looks like Kronar actually is ahead in terms of trials. But this will give you a little bit of an idea, a little sneak peek of some of the champions I am going to be mentioning here. So, without any further ado, let's go. For me, the top two champions, I would say, are fairly locked in. At least the first one. Anyway, there's no question who is number one. No question, and that is Senna. Senna has come out of the gate swinging. Speed in all battles aura, fantastic. AoE, Team Revive, that also makes them do an ally attack, okay. But the big thing is the rest of her skills. Increase speed, continuous heal, turn meter boost, 2 continuous heals. But her passive, whenever continuous heals activate on an ally, fills the turn meters of all allies by 5%, and she increases continuous heal buffs. You can activate them on her A1 for massive turn meter. She is a turn meter machine. You pretty much need a revive. For most teams, you need a revive for Chimera, because we're still struggling to stay alive against the Ram form particularly. While Senna brings you that while bringing you more damage than any other reviver can, just because of the sheer amount of extra turns that she gives you, right? In Hydra, there is a turn limit, so getting tons of turns, not always that helpful if you're going to hit the turn limit anyway. In Chimera, you're only limited by the boss turns. So the more... Actually, there is a turn limit, but I think it's almost impossible to hit at the moment. But I have seen some of the players with Senna showing... I think there's a 1,500 turn limit as well. But it's very, very hard to reach that. So you might as well try to get as many turns as possible with the Senna. She's number one. For me, number two, she's not in like the top team. But I think she's number two at the moment overall because of her versatility and how strong she is in so many teams. And that's Lydia the Death Siren. Decreased defense, weaken, strength and increased speed to help you stay alive. 2 crucial debuffs to do the most damage. She has block buffs, block active skills. Again, extremely useful for multiple of the forms, especially the Viper form. A1 Fear, really helpful for the Ram form as well. She just has so much in her kit. She's a free-to-play champion. It just takes a long time to get her, but she is an MVP. I'm putting her number 2 just because of how versatile she is. In the number 3 spot, again, I'm going to put someone that's very versatile and the perfect combo with her. I did try him on the test server. He's even better when you do it like with a little bit of manual play. You kind of pay some attention. It's Nekmothar. You're getting almost all the debuffs you need from Lydia. This guy brings you the ones you're missing. It's a perfect combo. Decrease speed, leech, and decrease attack, right? So slowing down the boss and then keeping your team alive with the leech and the decrease attack. Really strong. He also brings turn meter boosting and increased speed. He gets more turn meter himself, a speed aura if you need it. Nekmothar, brilliant, brilliant. He's really come back into it. He was, kind of a replacement for Krisk in Hydra in some teams. I think he's better than Krisk. I do. I think he's better than Krisk for Chimera. Next up, currently, I think he is the best champion to combo with Senna. And that's Androck. I'm going to put him... This is a bold choice. I'm going to put him up at number 4. Without Senna, not as strong. With Senna, bonkers. Why is that? Well, increase resist, strengthen, continuous heal. With Senna, you are a bit squishy, and she doesn't have block debuffs like other of the top revivers do. Doesn't have a cleanse, right? This guy with increased resist can help you just deal with that. And he provides another continuous heal as well to combo with Senna. So you can just resist everything the Hydra does. Even more continuous heals to go with Senna. The strengthen so people don't get one shot. Then he's healing your team, but also extending buffs. And this is incredible. Not only extending his own continuous heal, but extending all of Senna's to stack up those continuous heals and take as many turns as possible. With his passive, whenever allies crit, they get 5% turn meter. Again, just stacking even more turns with Senna, even increased defense on his A1, which can help you with trials. Because he's mythical, you can switch him over as well. And if you want to decrease resist for a trial, he can do it. Decreased defense, you're going to already have. That's probably... You might flip him over for one trial or something like this. But yeah, he with the increased defense, increased resist, he can help you with trials and crazy combo with Senna. I'm rating him very, very highly because of that. Next up, again, this is kind of, I feel like after Senna, it becomes more questionable. Like, there's no question Lydia and Necmo are super high up. It's just like a lot of these supports are high up. It's hard to know who to put where. I'm going to put Feral very high up as well. Very, very high up as well. And again, he's just got massive potential, especially with a buff extender. Again, another source of increased resist, the perfect veil. He has decreased accuracy block buffs. You combo that with the increased resistance. Makes it, again, very easy. There's a couple of trials. You need that. And yeah, it just makes it so the boss just can't debuff you, which is strong. Decreased speed A1. That gets your decreased speed in there. That can be clutch. And of course, his passive is crazy. If allies are under 4 or more buffs, they just do 20% more damage. Very, very strong. Very strong. In fact, let me show you. And this is the current record, guys. The current world record with 10 billion points on Ultra Nightmare, 9 billion on Nightmare, Senna, Androck, Viral. That's why I've rated them so highly. I did put Lydia higher and Necmo because I think it's kind of tough. Like, maybe arguably I should put these three the highest because they're the 3 highest supports. By the way, Lady Mikage, spoiler warning, I'm going to consider her more a damage dealer than a support. So stay tuned for her in the damage list. She's not coming in the support list. Next up then, I am going to put Krisk up next because he's got that versatility. I think he fills in really well. Like I said, I think Necmo kind of does what Krisk does, but a little bit more useful. But in some teams, Krisk is amazing because he has that buff extension with ally protection. This is potentially a pain in the butt if it gets stolen. It can get him killed, but it's still very good. The biggest weakness for Krisk, in my opinion, is his decreased speed is not super reliable. It's a 50-50. You can make it 55-45 with a mastery, and you probably should. But yeah, his decreased speed is quite unreliable. And if you get some bad RNG, miss it a couple of times, and suddenly you've lost a lot of value in your run. Whereas Necmo Thar, for instance, is much more consistent. So I prefer Necmo for that. But there's no question, Krisk is bringing you a ton of buffs and debuffs, and is super top tier. A champion that's seen a huge glow up. I think he's the second best option now to go with Senna. It's Operdin. I think Androck is better, but Operdin is a close second. Operdin comes in. Block buffs, he removes block buffs and heal reduction and one other random debuff, 2 continuous heals, and block debuffs on your team on a 3-turn cooldown. Great move. Then he's got lots of healing, and then he's also got more turn meter boosting. Continuous heals, he's going to give him 10% turn meter. Like I said, I think Androck is better overall because he brings more buffs and he's got the buff extension. So he's going to thrive a bit more, but Operdin is very close second. He's been crazy good in Chimera, especially paired up with Senna. Without Senna, he's still good, but it's with Senna that he really goes crazy because both of their continuous heal passives synergize together so well. Next up then, coming to number 8. We're running out of our top 10. Number 8, Starsage Galathyr. Really strong alternative to Senna. Basically your reviver to keep your team alive. Galathyr comes in, he's got a full cleanse with a heal and a turn meter boost and block debuffs on a 3-turn. Fantastic. Then you can just spam. He also has the full team revive if anyone ever dies. You can then spam his A1. It's going to give you, again, a lot of turn meter. And he himself is going to be crazy tanky. He's impossible for him to die. He's going to resist everything the boss is doing as well very easily. And then you can, of course, potentially swap him over into his other form for block active skills, or decrease resistance, or increase accuracy for your team. This can help you with some of the trials. Very rare you're going to spend much time in this form. This form is very much for, actually, this helps me do a couple of trials. I'll swap over, do those trials, and then I'm getting back into Form 1. Yeah, he is super, super solid. Like for me, for instance, I'm running the next champion on this list, which is Elva in the 9th position. I think that Galathyr is a strict upgrade to Elva in most situations. Elva has the cleanse with block debuffs, increased speed. If you've got increased speed already, like I have a Necmo Thar and a Lydia, that buff from Elva is actually not that helpful. Galathyr would be a heck of a lot stronger. So Galathyr is better, I think. Just less people have him. But yeah, she's got great passive healing on her A1, revive, speed in all battles aura. Elva is in my team. And yeah, then in the 10th spot was tricky. I honestly struggled here. I've decided to give it to Lazarius, actually, as number 10. Again, another option for your reviver. Now, he doesn't bring any healing, but he does bring block buffs for your team, and he can also, sorry, block debuffs for your team, and he can also buff strip the Chimera and put block buffs if you need it. He has turn meter boosting with increased attack strength in. He has a shield. He's solid. He's got a really strong aura as well. He's got his passive revives. He's going to keep reviving people passively every 3 turns if you need to. He's got good base stats. He is very good. I think the main reason that I'm putting him in the top 10, this one was a big question mark for me, but I do think he opens up a lot of potential. There's Fade, actually. There he is in IPR. There we go. You want to see his Ultra Nightmare team? 700 million damage. Crazy. Crazy. Look at that. 9-piece protection on everybody except the damage. Wow. There have been a good few teams in this clan. IPR, they're probably the top team. Like, there's quite a few Teox teams, with like Nekmothar and stuff like that. Ramantu, potentially, as well. I think that Lazarius can squeeze into these sorts of teams as your reviver, and like that has some interesting potential, especially with Nekmo and Teox, right? Because Nekmo's bringing you Leech. It's probably enough to keep your team alive. In fact, clearly it is. I mean, he's done it. So I'm squeezing Lazarius on here. I'll be honest, I would expect Lazarius probably to fall out of the top 10, but you know, it's probably not the best way to use him, but I'm putting him in there for now. Let's cover a few honorable mentions. Some stuff I want to shout out. So one kind of, I think, honorable mention, Oella. Again, she's like the budget Operdon to the budget Androck, right? Because she comes in, turn meter boosting, increase resist, but more importantly, extending buffs as well, and decrease speed A1. Pretty nice. She can also put out continuous heals, which is cool. So she's pretty good to pair up with like a Senna or something like that. The buff extension and increased resistance can be pretty cool, and she brings in decreased speed. So she's kind of like a little honorable mention, pretty decent. One champion honorable mention that's doing really well is Gwendolyn. Again, she's sort of like a slightly more budget Nekmothar or Krisk. She comes in with decreased speed leech and even decreased accuracy as well. So that's another unique buff. And then she can extend buffs on her A1, a debuff, sorry. She's got increased accuracy on her A3. She's pretty cool. And she's got this extra turn mechanic on her passive. She won't do much damage, but she's cool. So like compared to Nekmo, you lose the decreased attack, but you gain decreased accuracy. So she's well worth considering. Stiefy, I think, does come in probably a bit better with a buff extender. She does not have a cleanse, but she does bring you in block debuffs, increased speed, and increased defense, and a revive, plus healing. So she's bringing you a lot of stuff, which is pretty useful. Again, I don't think she's top 10, but, you know, she is worth pointing out as being a decent champ. I mentioned Ramantu. Ramantu is coming in as a great option for debuffs. Decreased defense, weaken, decreased speed, and block buffs, and he can do pretty good damage as well. So he's actually a pretty good one as the potential to replace that Lydia. And yeah, then the final one, again, a sort of potential to replace Lydia, but you need to bring in somebody probably like Firal or Oella, someone with decreased speed. It's Riho. Riho has so many debuffs. HP burn, decreased defense, weaken, decreased attack, decreased crit rate. That's crazy. Stun as well, though. You can't stun the Chimera. 5 debuffs. Give her a Feral set, 25% more damage. And she does bring a full team cleanse with block debuffs and a massive heal. Crazy good. And continuous heals on her A1. Huge, huge, huge potential. The only thing she's missing is that decreased speed, which can be tricky. It actually can be very, very tricky to find that for your team. So that's the one thing that sort of holds her back from the top 10. She's probably the most likely, I would think, to replace Lazarius. Probably even shoot up that list, I'd say, into the top 10. But there we go, guys. That is my top 10 list for now. Senna number 1, all the way down to some honorable mentions. Let me know what you think. Again, like you saw, like you could see our clan and what we're using. I'll be back tomorrow for a damage dealer list. You see lots of the champions mentioned here showing up. And then IPR, who are, I don't know if other clans have beaten them. They're a good chunk ahead of us right now. Yeah, some crazy, crazy teams in there. I'll see you tomorrow for the damage dealer tier list. Let's see how that goes. And yeah, thanks for watching. Catch y'all then. Bye-bye.